Well, hi-ho folks, and welcome back to the adventures of Turwinkle, the Gnome Mage. Well, hi Turwinkle.
Greetings.
Are you all set for tonight?
Indubitably.
Well, great, because tonight we are going to be talking with Bomi of the Cenarian Circle. And so, without further ado, let us go and find her and have a wonderful conversation about her roleplay. Alrighty folks, we made it safe and sound to Cenarian Circle. And right here in Stormwind, just outside the Pandaran camp, as we turn around here, we have Bomi. And so let us go up here. And this is Bomi. She's the Argent Rose Knight of Pia Presidium, level 95 Pandaran Shaman. Hello, Bomi.
Hi.
It's so wonderful to have the opportunity to speak with you tonight all about your roleplay and all about Bomi here.
Well, thank you for having me on the show. It's really awesome.
You bet. And so, folks, we are going to find out all about Bomi and her roleplay and a little bit about her and some advice for you new role players out there. And so, with that, we will be right back as we find out why Bomi is a Pandaran. So we'll be right back with that. Alrighty, folks, and we are back. And so, Bomi, how long have you been playing WoW?
Well, I joined near the end of Wrath of the Lich King. I was playing with my brothers, and we were in a guild, and we were those rogues that everybody hated. But yeah, since like the last year and a half of Wrath of the Lich King is, yeah, pretty close.
Alright, and how long have you been role-playing in WoW?
I only recently got into roleplay. I would say I have been actively role-playing for maybe 3 years now. 2.5, 3.
Okay, and what got you started role-playing?
It was actually when I first joined Cenarian Circle. I was running around on my first character on the realm, and I was happening to walk into the cathedral because it was a priest and training, and I walked in the middle of a Pia Presidium knighting ceremony, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. There were so many people in uniform just lined up in the middle of the cathedral, just knighting these 2 initiates into the order, and it was just like really cool, I thought. And so that's kind of what got me started. And then, of course, running around more on my character, I heard of Chromie, and I could hear people, like when I was running through Stormwind, I could hear people like Slash yelling about Chromie, that she had done something absolutely hilarious. And so that just kind of made me want to get into it a little bit more.
Well, she is awesome, and again, folks, if you've seen that interview with Chromie, it's a lot of fun. If you haven't seen it, do go check it out on the channel. And she is a fantastic role player here on Cenarian Circle as well. Now, why did you choose Pandaran?
I love pandas. I mean, absolutely, positively love pandas. So I was probably that one person who was really, really excited when they announced the Pandaren race. And I was really, really excited. And I was like, I have to make a Pandaren, which actually turned into me making 12 Pandaren. But, you know, the pandas, they're awesome.
Right, now, how did you come up with the name Bomi?
Well, actually, in high school, there was a Japanese-Korean exchange student named Bomi. And she was a really good friend of mine, and her name was just so cute, and she was just so cute that when I told her that the new race for World of Warcraft was Panda, she was like, oh, you have to make one and name it after me. So I made a Pandaren named Bomi. And actually, there were 5 Pandaren named Bomi before I finally settled on this version of her as a shaman.
Oh, wow, okay. Well, excellent. And so, folks, when we come back, we're going to find out what Bomi's backstory is and a little bit about her roleplay. So we'll be right back with that. Alrighty, folks, and we are back. And so Bomi, what is your backstory? What's the story behind her?
Well, the story behind Bomi is she's from Pandaria. She was taken in by the Shadow Pan and Taranzu when she was an orphan. She was raised in the monastery and she went by the name there Calm Lightning because she's a shaman and things go spark and sometimes boom when she's around. And essentially, she got raised in the monastery, and then one day during training, she accidentally kills another trainee. And up until this point, Bomi had never said a single word. She was considered mute. And after this incident where she accidentally kills another monk trainee, she is cast out of the monastery, and on her way out into the snow is the first words she speaks when she says, "I'm sorry." And, up until that point, people in the monastery thought she was cold-hearted, but after that happened, she kind of loosened up and became the Bomi that she is today. And after she was cast out, she lived in the mountains near the monastery, and when they would have trouble, trainees, they would send them out to her, essentially, and she would put the fear of God back into these other trainees and send them back. And when the Alliance and the Horde, crashed or, stumbled upon Pandaria, Taranzu kind of brought her back into the Shadow Pan somewhat and sent her to the Alliance as kind of an ambassador, but that kind of failed really, really fast when he realized that she had a complete personality change. So now she's just kind of a normal Pandaren of the Alliance as if she had come from Wandering Isle, but her speech isn't proper as we would consider proper speech. She refers to herself as Bomi. She mispronounces a lot of things. She leaves out words, like whole words and sometimes fragments of her sentences. And she's just a little bit crazy.
All right, wonderful. Now, how long did it come up with? How long did it take you to come up with that history? And did you come up with it over the course of your role play, or is this something that you just wrote as her backstory?
Well, Bomi was kind of the only character at one point that didn't have a backstory. I mean, she had her backstory from arriving in Stormwind when she accidentally set stuff on fire in the fireworks shop over in the Mage Quarter and kind of pissed off some squirrels and then got trapped in the Mage Quarter. So I knew she had a background with squirrels and squirrels not liking her. But I didn't know what to carry on past that. Like, she couldn't just be the humorous Pandaren that just fell into Stormwind. In my mind, I had a habit of torturing my characters just a little tiny bit. So it was kind of running around and, doing the quests in Pandaria that I decided, well, why not have her be part of the Shadow Pan? I mean, that seems like a big popular thing with the Pandaren because there's not really many options from where to have them come from. So I went with that, and because her last name is Lightning Claw, I was like, well, let's kind of do a twist off of that somehow. So that's more or less how I came up with
Okay, and
where she came from.
right, and so your form of torture for Bomi is squirrels. Where, where does that come from?
I don't like squirrels. I have been chased. I have I had like things thrown at me by squirrels. I mean, you think it's hilarious. You think that, squirrels can't throw acorns at you. No, 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 they can, and they will. And they're evil. And they're evil, red, furry things.
Right, much like Turwinkle's hatred for cockroaches, yours just happens to be squirrels, and squirrels are everywhere in the game as well, aren't they?
There's one right behind you. Yes, they're everywhere.
All right, folks, when you come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Bomi's roleplay style and find out what the hardest thing for her to learn when she was learning how to roleplay was. So we'll be right back with that. Alrighty, and we are back. And so, Bomi, are rabbits okay?
Rabbits are okay. It's just squirrels that are evil.
Okay. All right, because we do have some hopping around out here. So,
I do have my eye on that squirrel behind you, though. It might make a move any minute.
okay, well, I'll I'll try to protect you as best I can. Um, now, Bomi, what kind of roleplay style do you have? Are you more of a kind of spur of the moment reactionary type role player, or do you like to have your scenes more controlled? Do you have an ongoing storyline with say a role play partner?
I do not have like an ongoing roleplay thing going. Normally, Bomi's more of a, walk into the recluse and see what's going on. And for a while there, she was actually the bouncer. So I guess that was kind of ongoing, where she was there, you know, every Thursday night. But other than that, it's usually just like walk up and see what's going on, or events that are, scattered across the realm by different guilds she'll go to. But not really don't really have a role play going on with a single partner. It's more of a big group of people, and it's normally at events or guild events, like a PvP event or something like that.
Okay, and so again, more of a reactionary type role player where you'll do random walk-ups and whatnot.
Yes, definitely.
Now, would you consider yourself like a multi-paragraph role player where you really get like 2 or 3 paragraphs of emotes and descriptions in?
I would say that actually depends on what character I'm on. For Bomi, not really, because she's always doing crazy things and never doing the same thing for very long. So I don't usually go in depth with her with like the emotes or anything. But like some of my other characters, I might. For example, I have one character who's blind, so can't really do much in the way of her seeing anybody. It relies on people walking up to her, but not really too big on the giant paragraphs of things at a time.
Okay, well, excellent. Now, so you've been role playing for about 3 years. What was the hardest thing to learn as you got started role playing?
I have to say the hardest part was learning that some people don't see the humor of Bomi in the way that I see it. Some of them just think of it as super annoying and childish, but that's her character. She's kind of childish, but when people, when their characters, I should say, don't react the way that I had really kind of been trying to get them to react, like, get them laugh, and they don't laugh. And then that's kind of like, okay, gotta reassess the situation and figure out how I'm gonna get this character to not try to kill me next time I come to the recluse.
Right, that comedic role play is really a fine line, isn't it? Something that's a little bit more difficult to master, and because again, you do kind of a lot of the times fall on that thin line of between being funny and, like you said, being annoying to someone. And so learning that craft is sometimes, I think, the hardest type of role play to learn, isn't it?
It really is, and I think on top of it, I kind of set myself up with the way that Bomi speaks, and not speaking, proper English. I guess you could word it that way, and that gets on people's nerves also. So they kind of already are annoyed with Bomi, some of them. So it's just, a little bit iffy and trying to figure out how to approach everything.
Right, but then there are those moments when you're able to come into a situation and everybody laughs at what you're doing. That's always a good feeling, isn't it?
I love those moments. Love them because it makes me feel like I was successful in making people laugh. And it really is sometimes, I get, you know, that sometimes people don't get the same humor, but when they do and when everybody's on the same page, it's just really funny. And I just think it makes for a better role play environment in that case when everybody's kind of on the same page and on the same, well, this is funny, not like that one person getting insulted at everything coming out of one character's mouth.
Well, excellent. So, folks, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about Bomi in real life and find out what kind of things she likes to do outside of WoW. And so we'll be right back with that. Alrighty, folks, and we are back. And so, Bomi, what can you tell us about you in real life?
Well, I am currently going to college where I'm hopefully going to become a psychologist. Not the kind that's going to diagnose you. I was asked numerous times for the, love of the higher power not to become a practicing psychologist who diagnoses people. So I will probably end up being that person who looks at dead bodies that some crazy person leaves behind, which is kind of depressing, but kind of not.
Wow. Well, there has to be somebody to do that type of work, and so those types of folks are needed, and I don't think I could do it, but great. Now, what kind of hobbies do you have outside of WoW?
Well, when I'm super bored, I watch anime and, bring out a coloring book. I know that's really childish, but I color in coloring books still, and I'm in college. What you gonna do about it? But I also write. I'm working on my first novel, which is a sci-fi, futuristic fantasy kind of deal. Um, yeah, and I definitely watch a lot of anime, as I said before, when I'm not on WoW.
Okay, and what is your favorite anime?
I hate to sound like everybody else right now, but I really love fairy tale right now. I'm a hardcore fairy tale fan, and I personally love the Natsu Lucy relationship. I think they're adorable, and I just think it's a really cool show. And I love Happy too. Happy the Flying Blue Cat. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
All right, excellent. Well, that is wonderful. And now, as far as your writing is concerned, how long have you been writing?
I have been writing since sixth grade in middle school when I first took a creative writing class and discovered that I had a knack for writing, but not the serious stuff, more of the fantasy, sci-fi stuff, and it kind of bothered my creative writing teacher back then because she didn't want us writing fantasy all the time. She wanted us to write serious things, like realistic, writings, not fairies and dragons and all of that other fun stuff, which is more interesting to me, I think.
Certainly. Now, what does your role play help your writing, or does your writing help your role play?
It works both ways, really, where sometimes I'll be role playing with somebody and they just say something that just kind of like sparks something in my mind where I'm like, that's like the missing piece for this character. They just like gave me the inspiration for it. And then there's other times when, you know, I'm writing and it just kind of stumbles out another really good idea for like an incident that Bomi has or another character idea. It just kind of pops into my head. So it works both ways.
All right, well, great. All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to get some advice for you new role players out there, and maybe something for you older role players as well. And so we'll be right back with that. Alrighty, folks, and we are back. And so, Bomi, for those people that are looking at this and thinking, boy, I would love to maybe start role playing in the game. What advice do you have for those new role players out there?
First of all, don't be shy unless it's your character, in which case you can be shy, but don't be shy about approaching other role players to try to get into like another role-playing guild. And also, don't be afraid when the guild says we want you to fill out an application online. It's just their way of keeping track of people. And if they're a popular guild, it's to let other people who are looking into the guild to see what kind of members are already there, and to kind of highlight the ones that are kind of their most popular, or like the stars of the guild.
All right. And for those veteran role players, what would you have to say?
Well, I would say, if you're not, very, well, I should say, try to have patience with the new role players. I mean, help them learn everything. Don't just assume that they should know everything, because, we were all at that point where we had no idea what we were doing. So just kind of help them along, because they're new. They don't know, they don't know what God modding is, they don't know that they can't throw your character halfway across Stormwind and dodge everything that you throw at them. So be patient, let them know. Don't get super mad and make them feel super uncomfortable and outcast them from the roleplay community.
Well, that is some great advice. Yeah, especially for for both actually, the new role player and the veteran. Work together, folks, and it'll make a stronger roleplay community. So if you're brand new, look for those people that have been role playing for a while and ask questions. And for you veteran role players, look for people to ask you those questions and then help that new role player out. That is some great advice. So folks, when we come back, we're going to give our final farewells to Bomi. So we'll be right back with that. Alrighty folks, and we are back. And so what is Bomi currently up to in her storyline?
Well, Bomi is about to have her big showdown with the Squirrel King, so that's really big right now. And people on Cenarian Circle will be hearing about that at the next Troubadour night, which is a storytelling night. So they'll be hearing about her showdown with the evil Squirrel King very soon. Other than that, she's joining in with the other knights of Pia Presidium, and they're going to essentially go all out on the Horde in Ashran.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Now, is there anything that you would like people to know about Bomi that we might not have covered this evening?
Well, character-wise, I pretty much covered it, but, if you guys are new to Cenarian Circle, or you just, are stumbling across on one of the realms connected, and you see me walking by, feel free to, stop, say hi. If you have questions, ask. If you just want to roleplay, I'm down with that too.
Alrighty folks, you heard it here. If you're looking for some fun roleplay with a very funny character, look no further than Bomi. She is great and has a wonderful, light-hearted sense to her roleplay. She really does a great job, and she is a lot of fun to be with. So look her up here on Cenarian Circle. If you happen to be on the server, come and roleplay, and she'd be happy to do that with you. So excellent. So thank you so much, Bomi. It has been a lot of fun here tonight.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
You bet. Alrighty, folks. Well, we will see you all safe and sound back at Light Hope's Chapel with our final thoughts on this wonderful role player, Bomi. Alrighty, folks. Well, we made it safe and sound back to Light Hope's Chapel. And boy, Turwinkle, that was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Sure.
You bet. So let's give Bomi a wonderful thank you, sir.
I am in your debt.
We certainly are. And so again, folks, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If you did like this episode, click that like button. If you would like to comment on this episode or on any of our previous episodes, please do so below. Let us know what you liked and let us know what you didn't. And finally, if you'd like to subscribe, well, we would love to have you. So hit that subscription button today. Well, again, Turwinkle, that was a lot of fun with Bomi, and so you did an excellent job as well, sir. Questions right on point as always. And so with that, Turwinkle, I guess we'll see you next time.
Farewell!
Farewell, Turwinkle. Farewell.